Dear listener, hello, I'm Wade Kingsley. Welcome to another episode of The Quarter Hour. Today, I'm going to introduce you to someone who you may not have met yet. Now, if you've been on the journey of The Quarter Hour with me since the start, that was over 100 episodes ago now, you will know this next voice that you hear. But if you're only new with us, I'd like to introduce you to top 10 talent coach Steve Reynolds, all the way from the USA, who is not only one of the world's best talent coaches, he's a dear friend of mine. Hello, Steve Reynolds. How are you?
Hello. It's great to be back. I don't know if you've had other people on as many as me. I feel like what an honor to see you, my old friend, Wade Kingsley. Great to be here.
Great to be. Thank you. And thanks for coming along too. Great to have you because in terms of guests, I guess if we were doing kind of like a top 10 list of guests, you have been on the most times, that's for sure.
Have I really? Okay.
You have other things to do in your life though, not just talk to me, right? Because you're always available.
But I will be available to you because I adore you. I love you. You're a close friend of mine. But I'd like to know if I get my hole punched 10 times, do I get a quarter-hour t-shirt?
You do. We've got this great model where what you have to do is just upload the logo to the internet at a t-shirt site and you just go and print it yourself. It's really easy.
Okay. And you know what? If you have me on a fourth time, I'm going to send you some Reynolds Group chocolate. Because I bet you don't know that I have Reynolds Group custom chocolate.
I don't, but now I'm going to get you on every day. You publish a great blog called Planet Reynolds, it's called. And I always read it all the time it comes out. And there was one particular one that you posted last week, which I really captured my attention. I'd love you to start telling the story by explaining the talent coaching session that you were in and what happened.
Absolutely. I'm in a talent coaching session. We're having laughter and fun, as you must, as someone who has the skill set that you have, that if you don't have laughter and trust and fun, you can't create content. We're content creators, overused phrase. And we're discussing an idea and we're going through the pros and cons, and I'm trying to take the temperature of the room. And then someone in the room lays on me this sentence: I'll do it because I need this job.
Wow.
And it was though someone walked into this office and stabbed me in the heart. To hear that from a creative kind of shocked me. And that's all I thought about for about a week, of the mindset of where we are, in radio in my country, but radio really everywhere, of the reality financially and the impact that has on increasing the fear level of the creatives who then play it safe and make decisions so they don't lose the job. The name of the blog is I Need This Job, The Creativity Killer. And you need that kind of stuff. If you're going to make money, you have to do that to stand out. You're a branding expert. If you don't have creatives on the air that compel people to turn you on, you'll never be able to monetize it.
Did you think at the time, I mean, it sounded like it stopped you in your tracks, but did you think, wow, this is an issue with this show? Or did you immediately go, hang on a minute, I think I'm onto something, that this is an issue in the broader industry?
I've been aware of it for a long time because I've done this for a long time. When I step into a room, my radar is up for mixed messages that many talent might get from management. Do this, no, do that. And they don't know where to go. They don't have any strategy, but they don't have confidence. When talent tells me they don't want to do something, I wonder, well, maybe they don't know how. I have to teach how to do that. Or maybe they don't agree. I have to have a better relationship with them so they feel comfortable to admit, I don't think that's the right thing for us, which I always respect and honor. It's your show. It's not the Steve Reynolds show. I'm just here to instigate the process. And then sometimes they have fear. And I bring that confidence in by getting the game plan on the board, supporting them throughout, and giving them permission to fail. And so in the moment, it kind of shocked me because it gave me a window into how she's making decisions. And the more I thought about it in the days after, I'm like, I'm around that a lot. And as a talent, when I was on the air, I was convinced that I was the topic behind every closed door. Kind of narcissistic and sick, isn't it? I mean, I was so insecure that I believed that they're talking about me. They're conspiring to fire me. And it's not until I grew up and got therapy that I could solve all of that stuff. But that's what drives creative people, is that insecurity. And we have to foster that and give them a safe environment to do what radio needs to do to win.
Yeah. So would you say that in your experience, and particularly I think you've got the North American experience, even though I know you do work around the world, do you think that there's something particular about talent feeling insecure at this very moment in time?
Here, most definitely, but humans are humans. It doesn't matter where they live. I do a lot of work in Amsterdam. I do a lot of work in the Netherlands. I work for the National Public Radio System of the Netherlands, and everyone's human. So everyone is driven by the same things. And so I find it to be somewhat universal, but very much accentuated here because mega companies own these radio stations and they're all driven by what's happening in the month or the quarter. And so we're going to make decisions based on MONEY. And that introduces a different set of fears for people. And, when you talk to folks in radio, it's like, well, what else am I going to do? I need healthcare.
Yeah.
I need to put food on my table. I need to pay my rent. So I think it's kind of universal, but for me, accentuated here.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right. So in your blog, you talk about what you think management can say and do to support talent on the air to help them maintain that creativity, because I think we all are understanding of the economics of radio. I don't think there's ever been a time now where any role you have in the radio station, on the air promotions, sales, even the engineering, technical, IT departments, we all get the economics of radio as it sits here today. But I think you are quite instructional about what you think that management need to say and do to creative. So share that with us.
That is correct. When I work with a show, one of the very first commitments I make to them is I'll always be honest with you. Maybe hard to say, maybe hard to hear, but I sort of figure if you're mature enough to ask a big question, I should be mature enough to give you a straight up honest answer. So you'll get the good and the bad with me. I had a conversation with a regional president of a big company here in the States, rather not suggest who it was or the company, and they had gone through a round of layoffs. And I said, what is your responsibility as a manager, an upper level manager of this company? To be honest with your people, to sit them down and say, here are the financials. A lot of people don't understand it. I mean, I got a D+ in accounting when I was at university. I don't understand it. So why don't we just sit these people down and say, here's why, and let them ask any question they want. Can we trust our people enough to build a culture of blatant honesty? And that was kind of interesting to sort of listen to the reaction from that regional president. If we can't make that commitment, all the good people will say, I've lost faith. I don't see a game plan. I don't feel supported. I'm out. And they'll leave, and they're the ones who are going to be first in line to fix the problem. And so I think management needs to step into the arena, if I might, and say, you can ask me any question you want. I'll answer you honestly. I'm going to lay it all out in an effort to both groom that kind of deep relationship with you to take your fear away. I think people are less fearful when everyone's being honest with them, and you can help fix it. The bigger challenge in a lot of these larger companies, Wade, is that they get the memo, or they see on all the blogs and everything, X number of 100 people were laid off. Chatter happens, and a narrative forms that upper management do not control. And it's generally rooted in fear and not very good. And those are the people who are going to look on the horizon for something else. So if we can we just be straight with people in this industry, regardless of company size, and have these kinds of honest conversations so that fewer people are scared? I would hope so.
That makes a lot of sense. So I'm trying to flash back to my days inside a radio station. And I always remember we knew what the ratings were. We knew almost inside out what the ratings were, when the quarter hours were this and when the time spent listening was that. We know all that stuff. I remember we walked past the sales department and would see a number on the board, we're 96% to budget, or we're here's the revenue number. So we might know roughly, but I think the best thing I ever did, and this is very, very late in my radio career when I was in a radio station, was I sat down with the chief financial officer of the whole company. And I said, can you explain to me how we make money? And it's such a strange thing to say when you've worked in radio for nearly 20 years, but I actually realized that no one had actually explained that to me. And I had an ulterior motive. One was I wanted to understand the business, but two, I was about to start my own business. So it wasn't just trying to understand how the radio station worked, but I kind of want to understand how business worked. I would have spent probably a total of 2 hours over 2 months, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. I learned so much more, Steve. I learned more about profit and profit margins and what shareholders look for in particular. and why shareholders need stability. And I know those things sound really basic, and maybe, like you say, maybe some people do know that. But I think if you took a straw poll in a radio station on the content side, or let's call it the non-finance side, how much is about profit and not about revenue sales? Because we talk all the time about sales and getting that client on board and making sure that client's happy. But I honestly can't remember a conversation outside of those ones where someone talked to me about the profit of the business.
Yeah. Well, so you did not ask that question from fear. You were curious. You are a curious person, one of the most I've met, and you wanted to learn. Right now, I bet there are many talent who are don't know the questions to ask, or B, are too frightened to ask the questions. And so I think it's part of leadership is responsibility and accountability, but also engaging in those conversations because you want to have that kind of transparent relationship with the audience. Can I ask you a question? When you were in radio stations, did you ever do focus groups? Of course you did focus groups. Here's what I think needs to happen. I think, you can't fix any of these problems if your culture is screwed up. If you've got a shitty culture, it's always going to be fearful, right? And I think there's a lot of managers who are in denial maybe, or not inquisitive enough to know what their culture is. When I was a manager here in my hometown, we got to choose leadership training. So I chose, you're going to love the name of this organization. It's in Greensboro, about an hour 15 from here. It's called the Center for Creative Leadership. And I took a 3-day course on how your leadership as a manager has to adapt to change. And they put us in these exercises. Leaders would appear in the exercise and they'd be watching. And then they come in and they'd yank you out of the room to see how the room reacted to the alpha leaving. And then the alpha would go in another room where a leader already was established to see if that alpha challenged that person for the leadership. And they taught us. Well, one of the interesting exercises they did is they had me identify my direct reports. And they did a mini Steve focus group. They talked to all of them. What do you want in a leader? What will motivate you? And rate Steve against those qualities. And they sat me down, no names, but they said, here's what they want. Here's where you are. Here's how you need to adjust. Managers today need to stop worrying for 10 minutes about money and start worrying 10 times as much time on their culture. And it's not what you perceive the culture of your building to be, but it's what your employees assess your cultures to be. And they need to go on the magical mystery tour and find that out and stop being in denial and be more inquisitive and go fix that. And people will feel, you'll not only listen to people, you will have heard them. And that will start solving a lot of the fear problems that I find in radio.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm glad you're approaching this from the perspective of what your talent need to hear as managers, because we all know, and this goes to the insecurity component, you're talking about every meeting, they're talking about me behind the closed doors, is we all know there's a certain degree of healthy paranoia that we could have. And the healthy version is the stuff that makes you a great performer on the air, the stuff that makes you try things and makes you, as the point of your fantastic Planet Reynolds blog was, you need to create the conditions for creativity and just that spark that came from that talent saying, I'll do it because I want to keep my job. So we know there's going to be a degree of insecurity, uncertainty. But as a role of a manager, particularly in the creative industry, despite what's been happening with all the layoffs and all the changes, it's incumbent to make sure that the creatives have the right environment to feel supported and safe to try things. And that's the overall point of your blog. We need them to try things because that's radio.
Correct. And those are differentiators in the sea of sameness. Perceptually to everyone, we're all the same. I know you're special. If you're watching this and you're in radio, yes, you're special. I'll always tell you you're special. But we have to create big points of differentiation in order to stand out and stay top of mind for people. To me, it's not just on the manager or the program director or the brand manager or whatever they're called in whatever country we're referencing. To me, it's leadership. And everyone is charged with leadership. I mean, I'm a vendor. I'm a consultant but I'm a leader and I have the power to change all of that if I decide that's what's best. We all need to do that. We all need to take that responsibility.
Steve, thanks for coming on today again. And thank you for that fantastic post. It's on Planet Reynolds, which you can find on Steve's Facebook. You can go to reynoldsgroupradio.com and you can see all about Steve and the work that he does. And I'll say this is a guarantee, Steve. This is an ironclad guarantee. If you contact Steve through his website or his Facebook, he will reply to you. Even if it's to say, I have no idea who Steve is. He used to live here. He moved out.
Yeah, so it's a respect move. I reply to everyone regardless.
You do. And you're a good human for doing that. Thanks, Steve.